Nearly 5 decades of armed conflict in Colombia has uprooted millions of people. And now Human Rights Watch is claiming paramilitary groups are preventing people from reclaiming their stolen land. CCTV's Michelle Begay has more on how the violence is threatening to sabotage the very government-led initiatives meant to help those victims.
At a press conference in Bogota, Human Rights Watch warned that internally displaced Colombians face widespread death threats. Some have even been killed for attempting to reclaim their lands.
We think that the threats are one of the most serious obstacles of a successful victims' law.
The Human Rights Organization says some 4 million people were forced from their land over the past 3 decades by armed groups. As a result, in 2011, the government passed a historic victims law, which aimed to return millions of hectares of stolen land to their rightful owners. But after a year and a half of investigating, the organization says one of the biggest challenges is the government's failure to prosecute violent acts against those claiming their land.
If there are no charges and no sentencing, the threats against those who fight for their lands will continue, and they most likely will get worse.
While the government says it is investigating killings of land claimants, the HRW report shows that out of 17,000 open criminal investigations, fewer than 1% have seen convictions. Analysts say Colombia's war tactics have changed in the last 5 years, as armed groups now only go after key figures instead of entire communities.
First of all, today's violence is much more selective. It is directed towards social leaders, leaders of victims and land restitution, so violence is no longer against the general population.
The report also suggests that the Colombian government improve efforts to dismantle emerging criminal bands, especially by rooting out corrupt ties to local officials in certain regions. A dark reality that analysts say sabotages the central government's good intentions.
On the regional level, things are very complicated. You see mayors still connected to narco-traffickers, governors connected to paramilitaries, lands in the hands of frontmen, so the congressman can have great intentions, but it ends at the local level.
While the government may try to protect land rights activists, it seems the armed groups that threaten and kill them are getting away with more than just murder, as they hinder the country's efforts toward reconciliation. Michelle Begay, CCTV, Bogota, Colombia.